It's Monday night, and that means it's time for another episode of In the Trenches. Stay tuned right here on the SFBN as we break down all the great high school playoff football action.
The next 30
Welcome to another episode of In the Trenches right here on the Sports Fan Base Network. My name is Richie Blyweiss, and I'm joined by my co-hosts here. I have Mike Palmer, and I don't have Corey Sharp. I have Ari Bluestein. Welcome back, Ari.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Mike, good to see you as always. You got a nice tie on, flower tie. This is fancy. We're getting all fancy. He does look good.
Yeah,
he does. He does. Well, you mean business because we're getting down to it right now. We're really coming to the end of the high school football playoffs in Pennsylvania. We only have a few weeks left, and for us, that means only a few shows left. But we have so much excitement to talk about. We have some great highlight video packages to show you tonight of some really great games that happened across the state. We want to go tonight, guys. We want to look 1A through 6A, just like we've done over the last few weeks. Tonight, we're going to show you the brackets. We're going to show you really what's left of the brackets, I should say, because, man, we have just gone so quickly through them, it feels. So we're going to go through those tonight. But as we're going through the brackets, we need your help. We need your help of those of you at home watching the show live. Please comment and talk about high school football. Talk about the games we're talking about. Tell us what you want us to talk about. The more interaction we have from you, the more we can talk about it, the more we can get to. Our wonderful producer, Julian Bellman, is standing by with his assistant, Steven Schreiber. They are here, and they're checking our feed constantly so that we can listen to you, our wonderful viewers. You've been with us all season, and we thank you so much for that. But guys, I want to get right into our first video package. Before we get into the brackets even, before we get into the 1A through 6A, I want to take a look at some great highlights from a Thanksgiving Day football game. Thanksgiving Day is perfect for football, is it not?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and you know what's interesting is the PA Thanksgiving rivalries have kind of taken a back seat since the Philadelphia area joined the PIAA. But Northeast versus Central, the Philadelphia Public League rivalry, they played their 122nd game on Thanksgiving, dating all the way back to 1892. That's the longest Thanksgiving game tradition. We'll show you some highlights from this game, but Northeast ends up winning 28-0 here. And it was actually the third time that they beat Central this year.
Well, let's get right into those highlights.
Yeah.
Ari, you were there, so
Yes.
you're going to remember a lot of this.
Yeah, well, both teams' defenses really played well. Northeast hadn't allowed a point to Central all year, and you could see they just have a suffocating front eight, and Central just could not get anything going in the ground game all day long. There's a great tackle right there. They have a number of really good linebackers, but the Central defense played really well as well. Northeast was limited. This was the least amount of points that Northeast had scored against the Lancers all year. There you see Danny Scott was tackled. Danny Scott's the running back, number 12, but a great tackle by the Central linebackers right there. And then Northeast started to get the ground game going. There's one more good tackle by the Lancers. You can see a lot of great defense, a lot of tackles for loss. And this is when you start to see the scoring. This is Sameen Thompson going in, racing to the corner of the end zone. Great job by him. And Danny Scott had 2 touchdowns as well for Northeast. Here's the long one right here, I believe. You can see they're in their own territory. And then once the hole opens up, see you later. The cameraman can't even keep up with him. But, you can see that he just gets right down the field. So Northeast, they use some big plays to really do a great job. And there's Danny Scott again running down the sideline. And I think the 4th touchdown was scored by Kyle Marash, who's a fullback and actually the star middle linebacker for Northeast. But the bottom line, there you go. There
there's Ari.
Yeah,
there he is.
PA announcing. Yeah, I got roped into that one, but I don't mind getting on the mic every once in a while, as you guys know.
That's great.
And there's Kyle Marash with the 1-yard dive there to kind of seal the scoring. But It was 28-0, basically a meaningless game when you're talking about it in terms of the standings. Both teams had been eliminated from playoff contention. Northeast lost to St. Joe's Prep the week before, but it's about the atmosphere. A lot of the alumni comes back on both sides, and there's a lot of that too. I know Mike probably has been a part of the Ryan Washington Thanksgiving game, so a lot of great rivalries in the Philadelphia area and in South Jersey too.
Well, when we get to the Thanksgiving time, there's really just something about, like you said, that Thanksgiving football, the playoffs almost take a minute. They take a little bit of a pause, and on that one day, we come and we see these great games, these great rivalries. I remember for me, I was a Cheltenham High School grad, and for me, it was always a big game with Cheltenham Abington.
Right.
Toast the Ghost. I remember all those things, and it made high school fun. It made high school football fun. It was something that no matter where the playoffs went to, it was something for all of us to look forward to.
Yeah, they don't play that game on Thanksgiving anymore, right?
No, it's been a couple. It's when I was in school, they did.
Yeah.
When I was in school, I remember
they changed
did.
that recently. Yeah.
Well, those type of games in the early morning scenarios. I mean, Ari said it best. The defense can't really. It's a tough rivalry matchup going back since the 1800s. I mean, the defense can't really handle a great team like Northeast, but Northeast caps their impressive season with a huge win against Central. I mean, that's what the Thanksgiving games are all about, just capping either a disappointing loss or a tremendous season. So that's what the Thanksgiving games are for.
And one final thought, Northeast 3 losses this year were to Newman-Goretti, Imhotep, and St. Joe's Prep. So
at least those are 3 real quality teams. Those aren't really losses you can be upset with.
And they only lost to Newman-Goretti by like 1 point. I think.
Yeah, and that was the game where they both agreed upon on a short notice.
Yeah.
Kind of like the UFC fighter Michael Bisping. You don't really see a short notice high school football game like you do with fighters in UFC. But
Absolutely.
It's good to see those Thanksgiving games, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Thanksgiving games are always fun, but what's also fun are these brackets. And we want to get to those brackets right now. We want to take a look at the 1A bracket before we go anywhere else. You can see here, right up at the top left, you see Bishop Guilfoyle taken down by Homer Center, and that's the game that we're going to be really going in depth with in a moment. We'll talk about Homer Center's victory there, 20-14. Steel High advances. They'll be Homer Center's next opponent. We'll preview that momentarily as well. Steel High takes down Williams Valley 41-6. We go over to the western side of the bracket here. Amani Christian loses to Jeanette. That was a 1-point game, guys. We only had one other 1-point game here, but a 1-point game, 35-34. Jeanette will move on to go against Farrell. Farrell took down Ridgeway, 36-0 to get shut out this deep into the brackets. Really not something we see very often here.
No, and Farrell's a really good team out of District 10, and I think that's what you're seeing here. Ridgeway, out of District 9, had a solid run, got the win over Kerwinsville in the first round, but Farrell's just a strong team that's basically here every year, so not a huge surprise there. Farrell just dominates teams.
Well, let's get back to that initial game that I mentioned, Bishop Guilfoyle and Homer Center. Mansion Park is where this game is played, and wow. History is made here. The Homer Center Wildcats in this game, they defeat the 3-time defending state champion Bishop Guilfoyle 20-14. And Ari, you're going to give me an amazing stat right now and talk to me all about this game. I can't wait.
Bishop Guilfoyle was my pick to win this bracket. And for good reason. They had won 59 straight games coming into this game. 3-time state champions. 59 straight games, and Homer Center knocks them off. So it was hard to bet against Bishop Guilfoyle, honestly. But the ironic thing is, the last time Bishop Guilfoyle lost was in this same game in 2013, the District 6 championship here in the quarterfinals of the quarterfinals of the states to Homer Center in 2013. So, and you look at the way Homer Center did it. They dominated, not to use the show name again, but in the trenches. They just dominated. They outrushed Bishop Guilfoyle 257-71. You had Jesse Lee with 130 rushing yards, Mike McCracken with 113 rushing yards, and Homer Center just ran over Bishop Guilfoyle, kept their high-powered offense off the field. They kept it low scoring, and I think that was really the key for Homer Center to pull off the upset. And this was heard throughout the state because everybody knows Guilfoyle was the favorite, 3-time state champs. So congratulations to Homer Center. What an upset.
I want to talk about Homer Center for 1 second. Just something interesting I saw. I was reading a report from this game. Justin Wheeler, coach of Bishop Guilfoyle, I don't know if you saw this in the same article, but, coming off of a tough loss, you've won 59 straight games, second longest streak in Pennsylvania. You've won 59 straight games. Justin Wheeler losing coach, goes into the Homer Center locker room after the game to congratulate the winning team personally. He goes in there. I mean, I don't know what else you do to be a classier guy than that. It's fascinating.
It really is. And Mike, when you were playing, did you have any coach come into your locker room and say congratulations?
I think I did, honestly, because when we took the game to play CB West for Ryan, I think the CB West coach came in and said, thanks for the game, thanks for the experience. But, I mean, just from that class act, winning 59 games in a row, you don't really see that too often.
Right.
The last guy we seen, it was UConn women's basketball with Gino. But that's just a very class act from the Bishop Guilfoyle coach.
Well,
I mean, that's...
I agree. And here was the quote that he said. This was from the Tribune Democrat, reporting, saying of his own players. Coach Wheeler says, yeah, they're sad right now, talking about his own players, but they're 59-1 in high school. It's the one that hurts right now, but they're going to have memories that will last them their whole lives. And I found that very interesting that here it is, 59-1, but it's not the 59 we focus on, it's the one, because the one is what stings, the one is what hurts you here. But just so much happening. For these teams, this is going to lead into our 1A preview game. But before, Bishop Guilfoyle, again, an amazing streak. Sorry to see it come to an end. They end the season 12-1. They were 10-0 in the conference, but 12-1 overall. The only loss being this game, of course. Homer Center, they're going to move on. They have Steel High, the District 3 champions, next. That game will take place December 1st, 7 p.m. It's going to go out to Hollidaysburg High School. But let's preview this game. We've got a lot to look forward to. Steel High coming off a 41-6 win over Williams Valley. They're just a dominant football team.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I would think, I picked Steelton High Spire to win that game over Williams Valley. I didn't think they would beat them 41-6. That was a beatdown of a good Williams Valley team, a team that we talked about on the show before. And now, you thought, Bishop Guilfoyle's got this one. But now you've got a Homer Center coming off a really big win. Do they have like a letdown, or do they use that momentum to go forward? And Steelton High Spire, their eyes are wide because they're saying, hey, the Giant, Bishop Guilfoyle, they're out of this. We have a chance to get to the state championship. This is going to be a great game. I would have to give the edge to Homer Center because they knocked off the Giant, Bishop Guilfoyle. But Steelton High Spire dominating Williams Valley. I didn't see them play this year, but this one is coin flip, I think. I would give the edge to Homer Center right now, but Steel High, they can play some football out of District 7.
You go Farrell or you go Jeanette over in the West?
I'm going Farrell.
Farrell?
Farrell. I had Farrell losing in the championship to Bishop Guilfoyle, so I think Farrell is now the favorite to win 1A. But, hey, you never know. That's why they play the games,
Farrell
right?
over Steel High.
Yeah, I'm going to say Farrell over Steel High.
Wow.
Yeah,
all right.
That's what I'm going to say. Well,
all
no, I had Homer Center.
Homer Center, forgive me.
I had Homer Center as the favorite, but that one can go either way.
Yep, sorry about that. My fault.
No, you're good. You're good.
Let's take a look at 2A. Let's move on. Let's get over to 2A. Let's punch that bracket up there. Thank you very much, Julian. As you see, 2A bracket, Southern Columbia, that's the game we're going to preview, or discuss in depth in a moment. They take down Newman Goretti. Newman Goretti falling here to Southern Columbia, score of 45-12. They'll go on to play Dunmore. Dunmore takes down Legionnaire Valley 23-20. Close game there. On the western side of the bracket, Wilmington beats Clarion 33-6. And then Washington, who will be the Wilmington opponent, Washington 37-10 over Steel Valley. 2A, for me, actually, guys, and I don't know about you, and Mike, we're going to come to you to talk about the Southern Columbia Newman Goretti game in a moment. I feel like this 2A bracket took some turns that I didn't expect, and you can go a little bit more into that.
Yeah, I mean, well, we obviously seen the first game that we covered. I'm going to go a little bit more into it with the Newman-Southern Columbia match. That was the most anticipated match in this 2A bracket because Southern Columbia, their resume is just phenomenal. I mean, we talked about it all year in the show. Those who haven't been watching, I mean, this Southern Columbia team, before the regular season started, was a 90-7 team coming into the year. So that's just great respect to them. But you go to this Dunmore-Legionnaire Valley matchup, and Legionnaire Valley has been playing excellent football the entire season, but Dunmore, that District 2 champ snuck in and beat the Legionnaire Valley team, and Dunmore now faces Southern Columbia, and that's just another phenomenal matchup because District 2, anything could happen within that, and Dunmore made it out. Ari said in the beginning he never he didn't know what to expect from the District 2 teams, and now Dunmore proved that they deserve to belong in this Final Four. And then we go over to the two W teams, I like to call them. I mean, Wilmington and Washington. I picked both of them to advance, and they did. They got the job done. We're going to preview that game in a little bit, but Wilmington goes out and beats a favorite in Clarion. We all thought Clarion was going to win, but Wilmington pulls it off the win, and New Wilmington out there. And then Steel Valley, not to confuse it with Steelton Highspire, they lose to Washington. And Washington's been playing great football as well. But I want to go into the Southern Columbia-Newman game because, I mean, that's the game we all anticipated. We all wanted Newman to win because just their phenomenal season. Don't discredit Southern Columbia for nothing, but Newman Goretti had one of those Cinderella story seasons, undefeated. Their coach Crosby take them to levels they didn't even know they expected. But let's get right into the game. Southern Columbia, they started off really hot with an opening kickoff return for 82 yards. That's just a phenomenal start in a playoff game against a Philadelphia Catholic League team. You would love to see that. And that's what Southern Columbia did. And they didn't look back after that. We've covered Stone Hollenbach, the Southern Columbia's quarterback, all season. But it was about the defense for Southern Columbia this time because in the first half, Newman Goretti, very talented offense, runs an RPO type of progression offense. They couldn't get anything done. 2 first downs, -2 rushing yards, and Southern Columbia had 3 sacks. That's just disrupting any momentum, disrupting any type of progression for the Newman Goretti team, and especially in a quarterfinal playoff matchup that Newman was ready to go in and play Southern Columbia. But that's what we've seen. We talked about Stone Hollenbach all season for Southern Columbia. He's a great quarterback, but the defense got it done. And when it was time for Hollenbach to come in and make a play, he did with an 8-play, 95-yard drive to make it 24-0 in the first half. So, I mean, that's just perfect play from Southern Columbia. Their defense came out to play, and their veteran quarterback, Stone, came out and played really hard, too.
And here's the difference that I think, and it's something that maybe we didn't really think of that could happen. Southern Columbia has the experience. They've been in the playoffs a number of times. They've dominated District 4, and they lost in the state championship last year. So they had the experience. Stone Hollenbach had the experience. Newman Goretti, this was really their first time in the state football championship. In fact, they started fighting amongst themselves on the sidelines, and they were down early, and because of that inner sideline fighting, they could really never get back in the game. And I think experience was the key for Southern Columbia to win this game. They had been there before. Newman Goretti hadn't. When they got down, they started fighting amongst themselves, and then it all unraveled from there.
We've seen that in a few games this year, to be honest with you, Ari, with the Bartram-Emotep game as well. I mean, the experience level was just not enough for the Newman Goretti team, but you figure it was 24-0 at the end of the first half, and Southern Columbia comes out in the second half and only gives up 2 touchdowns to the Newman Goretti high-powered offense. That's just impressive for Southern Columbia to go out there. 2 unbeaten teams facing off against each other. Sometimes the final score does end up, when you got 2 unbeaten teams, the final score does end up a little bit higher expected than what we expected. We expected a closer game, obviously, but when you got 2 unbeaten teams going at it, sometimes that happens, and you don't like it to happen, but that's football, you know?
Do you think that a team like Newman Goretti, kind of, I guess, can we call them on the upswing? Can we say that? Can we say on the upswing in this case? You look at a team like Newman Goretti and you see the fighting on the sidelines, and you talk and you say, well, this really is what their demise was. It came down to this for them with fighting on the sidelines. They just couldn't get their teamwork together. Are you able to look at something like this and say this will help them build to next year? Or does a fight on the sidelines and anger, is that something that really hurts this team moving forward? And I just don't know what the right answer is.
I think they'll be okay. I mean, their head coach is Albie Crosby, who coached Imhotep for a number of years, and before that was an assistant at West Catholic. So he's a coach that's been there. He knows how to win. He's won a state championship with Imhotep. He's been an assistant on a state championship team in West Catholic. So he will get it together. This was his first year, and I think a lot of people thought, okay, he's there. He got a couple players that came in from Imhotep that followed him over to Newman Goretti. They were going to maybe build it up this year. I don't think anybody thought that they would go undefeated and make this run. They had a chance for a state championship, but ran into Southern Columbia, who's a pretty good team in their own right. So I think my answer to your question, Richie, is that they'll clean it up. Albie Crosby will get it done. great football mind, and I think they'll be in the conversation again next year.
All right, well, upcoming for these teams, Newman Goretti, unfortunately, as we mentioned, their season is over. 11-1 overall, 6-0 in the conference. This game, their only loss. Southern Columbia, they move on. They've got Dunmore coming up next. That's going to be at Danville High School, December 1st, 7 p.m. Dunmore coming off a 23-20 win over Legionnaire Valley. But I want to do a quick preview, and we're going to actually move over to the west side of the bracket. We're going to do a preview here. Wilmington versus Washington. Wilmington comes off a 33-6 victory over Clarion. They're 13-0, 8-0. They've only allowed 33 total points in this playoff series. 33 points over these games is a staggering number. It's such an unbelievable number to see here. Washington, they're coming off a 37-10 win over Steel Valley. They're 14-1 overall, 7-0. Their only loss coming to Albert Gallatin. That was back in August. You got to go all the way back to late August for that. But I'll come to either of you guys that want to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, these are two high-powered offenses averaging over 40 points a game, but I think Washington might have the edge here because that was the type of team where you've seen these weird bye weeks within the bracket. Washington played throughout the bracket, as well did Wilmington. I'm not discrediting them for anything, but Washington was those type of teams when they had to go into a matchup. They were playing playoff games and not skipping through byes. So Washington definitely has the momentum coming through this game, but this Wilmington versus Washington matchup can go either way, and I think the winner of this is going to have to face Southern Columbia because that is just an impressive win against Newman Goretti and Dunmore, a District 2 champ. But that District 2 football is one of the smallest out there. But, I mean, the winner of Washington-Wilmington might have to face Southern Columbia, but that Washington-Wilmington game is going to be an excellent one in its own right.
Well, I said it last week, and I'll say it again. The winner of that Newman Goretti Southern Columbia game is my state champion. So I think Southern Columbia is going to run the table. Dunmore is a tough opponent. I mean, Dunmore's a very tough opponent. They've been here before, too. Down at the bottom, I actually like Wilmington in that game over Washington. I like them out of District 10. But I think it's Southern Columbia's bracket to lose at this point. They knocked off Newman Goretti. I think a lot of people thought, including myself, Newman Goretti would run the table, but like last week, I'm sticking to my guns. I said the winner of that game wins the state title. So I think Southern Columbia out of District 4 is the favorite at this point.
All right. Well, I will point out, though, Washington, in the playoffs, they've outscored opponents 152-40.
This is true. They haven't faced a team like Wilmington yet, though.
Wow. And there you go. That game will be December the 1st at 7 p.m. They're going over to Slippery Rock University Stadium. Coming up on In the Trenches after this break, we're going to start taking a look at 3A. We've got a big preview. We've also got some video highlights as we talk about Conwell, Egan, Palisades. We've got some really exciting stuff. Make sure you stay tuned right here on the SFBN. You're watching In the Trenches.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Welcome back to In the Trenches right here on the SFBN. Thanks so much for staying tuned with us. We are getting right into the the 3A brackets, forgive me. We're getting right into Class 3A, and as you can see right there on your screen, is that punched up there, Julian? Thank you so much. Conwell-Egan, we're going to be talking about that momentarily. We're going to show you some great highlights from the Conwell-Egan Palisades game. Conwell-Egan takes down Palisades 34-17. They're going to go on to face Middletown, who took down Scranton Prep. I did not see that coming, and a shutout one there, 35-0. We move over to the West. This was a very interesting one for me, guys. Quaker Valley beats Aliquippa by a score of 2-0. That was an impressive one right there. And they'll go on to face Sharon, who beat Forest Hills 45-25. So it really is a bracket that is shaping up right now, as you can see, and we have some really excellent stuff to talk about. But before we get into our breakdown of that Palisades-Conwell-Egan game, let's show some highlights Let's throw those up there, Julian, on the board so that we can see. We're going to Northeast High School on Saturday, and Ari, I'll let you walk us through this.
Well, Commonwealth Egan, we talked about them. They were in the middle of the pack in the Catholic League. In fact, barely got in to the District 112 sub-regional bracket in 3A. But you're going to see a running back by the name of Patrick Garwo. Actually, this is the other running back, DeJuan Harris, who had the first touchdown for Commonwealth Egan. And Palisades was undefeated. They're a very good school out of District 11, actually not too far from District 12, but they've never seen a rushing attack like Commonwealth Egan is with Patrick Garwo and DeJuan Harris. And here's Garwo right here. He's got the power, he's got the speed, he's got the quickness. No chance for the Pirates on this play. And Commonwealth Egan is a sneaky team. I don't think anybody thought they would get to this point. In fact, like I said, they almost weren't even into the state tournament because of their loss to Lansdale Catholic during the regular season. They got their revenge on Lansdale Catholic in the District 112. There's some stats right there where we'll go through some of those, but these, I believe, were the halftime stats. Garwo had over 100 yards rushing at the half. But, Palisades, they had a good passing attack. This is a great fade pass right here to the corner by the Palisades quarterback. And, again, a great season for Palisades. But, again, the experience of Commonwealth Egan playing against teams like West Catholic, like Newman Goretti in the Philadelphia Catholic League, that pays dividends here in the state tournament. And now, after being a sub-500 team in the regular season, they have a chance at a state championship here, and they take on a really good Middletown team. So you can see, again, the power rushing. This is DeJuan Harris again with his second touchdown. Just a phenomenal job.
That is obviously Egan. A two-headed monster right there with
Yes.
Harris and Darrow. I mean, he's been talked about all year, this running back for Egan, but me and Ari, we were talking about that. We were covering this game last week, and we won it. We expected Egan to win, but at the same time, we never discredited and counted out Palisades at any moment. When I was covering that game, I was like, you know what? I kind of like Palisades. But at the same time, you never know what's going to happen in this game, and we see it right here. You see the highlights and everything, but that running attack from Egan is just very, very dominant, and then their defense comes up with a big play, obviously, but that's that Philadelphia Catholic League attitude, stepping up real big deep into the playoffs. Yeah, I think they really did a great job. Palisades had a great season, but, again, they hadn't really seen a team like Commonwealth Egan. And you could see Palisades could play a little bit. They had a good quarterback, but... Well, this is the best team in Palisades school history. You look at it, Colonial League, District 11 champs, 14-1, 10-0. This is a team that really had high hopes, had high expectations going in. Look at this play by Garwo here. He can't go down. One person cannot bring that kid down. I mean, that's just hard, tough-nosed running. And Palisades did beat a good Lee Heighton team to get in here. And then Garwo had the pick to end it, too, on defense. So, kudos to Commonwealth Egan. Great season for Palisades again, but kudos to Commonwealth Egan, and they have their work cut out for them against this really solid Middletown team who blew out Scranton Prep. Egan is no unfamiliar face with producing great running backs. I mean, Steve Slayton, circa 2007. Yep. And then a few guys after that, but you see this kid, he's definitely got the potential to go somewhere big, and he's only a junior. And see if you can carry Egan against your favorite in Middletown. Yep. Mike, there was a quote after the game, courtesy of the morning call. There was a quote here. Article was by Keith Grawler. Palisades coach Kevin Ronalds talks about Commonwealth Egan's performance here. He says something that you've actually said in the past weeks. He said, they're in the Philly Catholic League. Their record, 7-6, doesn't matter. They play tough football every week. It might be the best league in Pennsylvania. That's something I've heard you say before on the show. Oh, no, we've all said it. Even Ari and Corey, because you figure, because Corey went to Washington, Corey Sharp, our co-analyst, and he sees Ryan every year at the Thanksgiving game, and our easiest matchup that year when I played was Washington. It's just, that Philadelphia Catholic League is nothing to sleep over. I never won a league game in my life. So, kudos to Egan for making it through and just pushing through the playoffs. But, I never won a Catholic League game in my life. So that is just the hardest and one of the most known conferences. Because when you go to school and you start talking, because once you live in Philly, there's more places out there than Philadelphia. And you get to talking to Jersey, Maryland. and you could start comparing high school football. And usually I don't like to boast or brag, but I kept my mouth shut and listened to the Jersey and Maryland kids try to boast up the high school, but there's nothing like the Philadelphia Catholic.
Well, I mean, Jersey and Maryland certainly has their good leagues for sure, especially North Jersey, and then like DeMatha in Maryland, they're pretty solid too. But yeah, I mean, Philly Catholic League, I've said it before, it doesn't. They had a sub 500 record coming into the playoffs. It doesn't matter. They were battle tested.
I want to talk about Garwo for a second, but I don't want to talk about the Patrick Garwo. I want to talk about Andrew Garwo for a second here. Conwell Egan has 20 penalties for 230 yards. One player, Andrew Garwo, the brother of Patrick, gets ejected. Patrick had to be restrained, and here's why. An ejection for him means that he is ineligible for the next game. So I understand you want to stick up for your brother, and we never like seeing the fights. You want to stick up for your brother, though. But it's also that thing of you've got to put the team first, and you've got to be able to say, we're in the tournament right now. This is it. And I saw that with all the amount of penalties and the yards, but seeing this with the brothers, it just upset me tremendously.
Well, whoever restrained him was a smart person because, without Garwo, they don't win that game, and without Garwo, they don't have a chance against Middletown.
Well, here's Jack Techman talking about the referees courtesy of the morning call. I like his start of his quote. Some stuff we did do. But a couple of those interference calls, and to throw our play out and say he threw a punch, the TV cameraman and our cameraman has it until the end of the play, and he never threw a punch. You have to be sensitive to that. These guys, meaning the officials, were horrendous. To call out the officials after him, I understand you want to stick up for your players, but I think there's also something to be said for the coach that has to be sticking around there.
Usually when the camera is going that long, it's retaliation. If you have to watch the film until the play is over, it's just retaliation. It's always been like that. If you get punched first, spit in the face first, it does not matter. Whoever retaliates at the end of the play is going to get the penalty. And I'm sure that's what happened with the brother there. But I mean that's what happens. The retaliation is the key, and that's what the refs say. Emotions
are running high, needless to say, as we get into the end these last couple weeks or so. Emotions really are running high here.
Yes.
Let's take a look at our preview game and what we've got upcoming. Palisades. Their season ends. Palisades only allowed 82 points in the first 12 games of the season, but in the last two, they surrender 74 points as the competition just gets to be too much for them. Conwell Egan, they go on. They're going to face Middletown at Westchester High School. That's on December the 2nd at 1 p.m. Afternoon high school football playoffs. Middletown, they're 13-0 overall. They'll be the favorite, I would imagine, over Conwell Egan. Safe to say?
I would say they are the favorite. In fact, Middletown is my predicted 3A champion, but Conwell Egan, if they get the ground game going, that's really going to be the key, I think. Middletown has to stop the ground game and force them to make plays through the air, which they haven't really done all year. Garwo, what did he finish with? 273 yards, something like that? I mean, something ridiculous. You cannot let Garwo have 273. I still think Middletown is the favorite. Again, experience. Middletown was here. They went undefeated last year before losing to Beaver Falls in the state championship last year. That's why I thought that they would be the favorite, especially when Aliquippa got upset by Quaker Valley. I thought Aliquippa would be the favorite at that point. But I think Middletown is the favorite, but this is going to be a really fun game. I believe Saturday afternoon is when this game is playing.
Middletown just comes off a win over Scranton Prep, 35-0. That was this past Friday. And Bethlehem outscored playoff opponents, 126-7. Only Bermudian Springs has scored against them in a game that ended 42-7. 14-0 last year before a loss to Beaver Falls. I mean, this is going to be a great game.
It will. I say Middletown's the favorite, but me and Mike said it all year. Philly Catholic League teams, you cannot count them out, especially when you have a player like Patrick Garwo.
There's just so much to look at. Let's get to our next bracket here. Let's get to 4A. It's up there on your screen right now. You can see Imhotep Charter takes a shutout victory over Valley View. That game is 41-0. That was back over at Northern Lehigh High School on the 24th. Imhotep Charter will now take on Bethlehem Catholic. Bethlehem Catholic comes off a 1-point victory over Selins Grove, and that's the game that we're actually going to go a little more in depth with right now as Bethlehem Catholic gets ready for their game with Imhotep Charter. On the other side, on the western side of the bracket there, Berks Catholic beats Bishop McDevitt 45-24 as Berks Catholic now prepares for their game against Cathedral Prep, who has to be somewhat. We have to be looking forward to that game. I don't know if I want to say Cathedral Prep is a favorite just yet over Berks Catholic, but I think we're really in for a good game as Cathedral Prep takes down Thomas Jefferson 42-17, and Thomas Jefferson had not allowed a point up to this point. They had not allowed a point up until this game and then lose 42-17. But for our in-depth analysis, we're going to go over to Shamokin's Kemp Memorial Stadium. Bethlehem Catholic takes down Selinsgrove, a 1-point differential in this one, and rushing is the key in this game. Michael, come to you on.
Oh no, this game went back and forth all day long. This is a primetime boxing match, if you want to call it that, because they were throwing left hook jabs all day long, feeling each other out, and that was the key. It was a boxing match because Bethlehem Catholic settled for punts when they needed to, and they didn't. They took advantage of the field position, and that's what was the key to the game. However, I mean, another difference in the game was the extra points. It affected Selinsgrove, and it helped Selinsgrove in the first half, but later in the game they went for 2 and didn't get it. So I mean, you go over this game. It was a boxing match, back and forth all day long, and Selinsgrove answers everything that Bethlehem Catholic throws at them with a big play. And usually when you answer with a big play, nothing's really going for you, because Selinsgrove answered the huge Bethlehem Catholic drive with a pump and go 60-yard bomb. That's just a trick play. You see a double move from the receiver, and we'll get to this receiver in a little bit, who had a phenomenal game, a historic playoff performance. And that's how Selinsgrove was answering every play Bethlehem Catholic had, with a big play. And Bethlehem Catholic was playing within their standards, punting the ball when they had to, and that's what we've seen. I mean, the quarterback from Selinsgrove, Logan Levy had a phenomenal game. It just wasn't enough, because Bethlehem Catholic had 400 yards of rushing in the game, and that's just the difference maker right there. I mean, when you control the ball and the time of possession like that, and punt when you're supposed to, don't make any stupid plays, you're going to win the ball game against a team that's just hoping for the big play. But Selinsgrove, you can't discredit them. Jarrett Inch, the guy that I want to cover, this receiver, 8 catches, 243 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That is just unbelievable effort from that kid. I mean, and then we'd be talking about a different way if Selinsgrove gets that 2-point conversion. But they didn't, and that's what happens. And that was the difference throughout the whole entire game. I was following it live on Twitter after every tweet. Mr. Miller would say, that was the guy tweeting it. He would say, and the difference is the PATs, the 2-point conversions. And then that's what we seen at the end of the game. Selinsgrove, the final score is 33-32. Selinsgrove misses the 2-point conversion, but we see those huge numbers. Bethlehem Catholic puts up 400 yards rushing, and Selinsgrove receiver Jarrett Inch with 8 catches, 243 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's just a phenomenal game, but Bethlehem Catholic played conservatively, and it worked out for them.
Yeah, I think you look at that 2-point conversion, Selinsgrove going for the win. You know, if they kick the extra point, we're tied at 33, and who knows what happens from there. I thought Bethlehem Catholic would win this game fairly easily, so I give Selinsgrove a lot of credit. And then, hey, I give them credit for taking the shot and going for 2. The coach probably felt that, hey, this is our chance to knock off the Golden Hawks. Nobody thought that we could do it. This is our chance. We're going to take it. We're not risking going to overtime. They didn't like their chances going into overtime. But they don't get it, and Bethlehem Catholic advances. But I like the guts of the Selinsgrove coaching staff to go for that 2-point conversion at the end. Well,
I want to take a look at our upcoming. I want to take a look at our preview. But upcoming for these guys, Selinsgrove, they end their season 11-3 overall, 4-1 in the conference. Bethlehem Catholic, they advance. They're going to go on, as we said before, they're going to play Imhotep Charter. That's a rematch of last year's state semifinals. This game will be at the Germantown Super Site. That's December 1st at 7 p.m. Imhotep Charter, I mentioned it before, they are coming off an impressive 41-0 win over Valley View. Imhotep, they have outscored opponents 167-15. That includes 2 shutouts over John Bartram and Valley View.
Yeah, I mean, this Class 4A bracket is just, you figure these 4 teams are one of the best teams we've seen in a while with Emotep, Bethlehem Catholic, Berks Catholic, and Cathedral Prep. I mean, I picked them all to advance to each other. I don't have a champion yet, but you got to figure Emotep with all this Philadelphia talk that we've been saying all night. Emotep is definitely the favorite, but these teams are nothing to blink over because Cathedral Prep is just a phenomenal team. And if I'm not mistaken, is that who Emotep lost to last year?
Yes, that
finals?
is correct. Yep.
And,
Cathedral Prep beat Emotep in the championship.
So anything could happen here with these 4 teams. But our preview game is Cathedral Prep versus Berks Catholic. And Richie was saying, I mean, you don't want to hand over Cathedral Prep all the reins yet because Berks Catholic just had an impressive win over Bishop McDevitt. This preview game is one to watch because Cathedral Prep is number 1 in the state right now in the 4A, and then Berks Catholic is only number 4, and then I'm sure 2 and 3 are Emotep and Bethlehem Catholic. So we have the top 4 teams right here in Class 4A.
Let me ask you guys a question really quick. I'm sorry to cut you off here, Ari. Let me ask you a question real quick. Cathedral Prep has a bye in the first round and then again in the third. At this point in the playoff bracket, do you feel that those buys and the week here and there, that the rest, is it really going to make a difference when you go up now against Berks Catholic? Does that rest really change the fact, or are you so exhausted from the preparation that you really feel like you're right on par?
It really depends on the team, and for Cathedral Prep, it's not going to matter. They're my favorite to win this. I think they beat Emotep in the championship game. I had that from the very beginning when we were making our predictions on this. Cathedral Prep's going to be fine. This Berks Catholic team is very good, as Mike said. They are number 4 in the state. Cathedral Prep number 1. So this will not be a cakewalk by any means for Cathedral Prep. Berks Catholic dominated District 3 this year. In fact, they crushed Wyomissing in that big rivalry game, and Wyomissing was undefeated up to that point. So I think this is a really good game. Like Mike said, these are the 4 teams that we expected to be here. I think Emotep should have a fairly easy time. I think they win by double digits over Bethlehem Catholic. Cathedral Prep will have a tougher game with Berks, which is why we wanted to talk about it a little bit. But that Emotep Cathedral Prep championship, if that's what it ends up being, that's going to be one to watch. That's for sure.
Well, we have a chance for it to happen, certainly. Cathedral Prep versus Berks Catholic. That's going to be at Somerset High School, December 1st at 7 p.m. Coming up, we are going to take a look at 5A. We're going to go in-depth. We're going to talk Unionville versus Springfield Delco. You are certainly not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned to the Sports Fan Base Network. You're watching In the Trenches.
Hey, you.
Who, me?
Yes, you. You like pro sports?
Yeah,
You like college sports?
of course.
You like high school sports?
I guess.
Maybe you just don't know much about them.
Hey, voice in the sky.
Huh?
Where can I go to learn more about Philadelphia area high school athletics?
Just watch Varsity Voice every Wednesday on Facebook Live at 7 p.m.
Welcome back to In the Trenches. Thanks so much for staying tuned with us as we continue to go through high school playoff action. We're going to get right into 5A right now. Let's take a look at that bracket as it's coming up on your screen there. Thank you so much for that. We are going to talk more in depth about this Unionville game as Unionville takes down Springfield 35-25. They're going to go on to play Archbishop Wood. Wood took down a Wyoming Valley West team that we've actually discussed a lot here on In the Trenches. So Archbishop Wood, no real surprise there, I don't think. Is that safe to say, guys? No real surprise. But still, Wyoming Valley West, good year for them. Archbishop Wood wins that game 41-14. You move over to the western side. We have a matchup now with Gateway and Manheim Central. Gateway takes down Hollidaysburg 49-30. They, as I said, will go on to play Manheim Central after they beat Governor Mifflin 30-29. The 5A bracket has been set up with a Final Four: Unionville, Archbishop Wood, Manheim Central, and Gateway. It is a really impressive bracket. But let's talk Unionville. They beat Springfield Delco 35-25. They win the District 1 championship here. And it's just really shaping up to be an amazing Final Four in 5A.
Well, I think when you look at 5A, you just, now that Harrisburg is out of it, you're just looking at who is Archbishop Wood going to beat for the championship? I think at this point that's what you're looking at. I liked Harrisburg, but they got knocked off by Mifflin, and I was shocked that Mifflin got knocked off by Manheim Central. But you look at Unionville, they won their first district title since 1994, so congratulations to them. Springfield Delco was undefeated coming into this game. Unionville's only loss had been the Downingtown East, and I think we talked about this game last week. I liked Springfield Delco, but I would not have been shocked at all if Unionville won this game, and they did. And they really just played a phenomenal game all around. Pat Clark has done a great job all year for Unionville, and you got to feel good for the program. I don't think they have any chance to beat Archbishop Wood, but they win the District 1 championship first time since 94. In fact, I think it was the first time since 94 that both 6A and 5A, or at least 4A, 3A, the two highest brackets for District 1, were won by Chesmont teams. Usually Suburban 1 is the league that dominates, but not this year. Coatesville, we'll get into Coatesville, they win 6A. But congrats to Unionville, but I just don't think that, I think Archbishop Wood will win this by double digits easy.
Yeah, I can see that. We've got one more matchup that we're actually going to talk about in 5A before we move on to our preview. But upcoming, Springfield Delco, they end their season 13-1, 9-0. Before this game, they only allowed 3 teams to earn double digits against them on the scoreboard. Those teams being Haverford, Marple Newtown, and Strath Haven. Unionville, they're going to take that nice, shiny District 1 title, and they're going to go against Archbishop Wood in what I can only imagine will be their final game of the season.
Yes.
Wood is coming off that victory we talked about over Simon Gratz, 36-6, and Archbishop Ryan before that, and then they had a bye even coming into the playoffs. But we've got one more in-depth preview game we want to talk about. We're going to go over to Hershey Park Stadium for this one. Manheim Central and Governor Mifflin. We're going to talk about some Western bracket action here. 30-29, a 1-point differential here, Ari.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great game. Manheim Central is a solid program. In fact, I believe it's, the 17th time they won the District 3 title. So this is a solid program, and they're usually pretty good across the board in all the sports. But Governor Mifflin, they come off the big win over Harrisburg, which shocked the world. And then they have this tough game, a 1-point loss where their season ends here. It's a tough thing for Governor Mifflin to do. You come off the high of beating Harrisburg, then you lose to Manheim Central, maybe a little bit of a letdown after such a high against Harrisburg. But Manheim Central earned this one. I mean, they're a solid team. Their matchup against Gateway here, I think that's a really good matchup. Gateway out of District 7 beating Hollidaysburg, as you mentioned, Richie. That should be a really fun game. Again, I still think Archbishop Wood, with Harrisburg out of the picture, they have this bracket pretty much locked up. But I would love to see who ends up coming out of the West here between Manheim Central and Gateway. Should be a really good one.
But I also think, Governor Mifflin coming off an upset, number 1 seed, Harrisburg. But really, this is something that you had mentioned before, Ari. 17th District 3 football title win. They are 17-4 in championship game appearances. That's a great stat right there. That is just a great number. Upcoming for these guys, Governor Mifflin Mustangs, they take the loss. End their season. They're 12-2 overall, but 7-0 in the conference. Certainly nothing to cry home about. Manheim Central, they stay perfect. 13-0, 7-0. They will move on. They face Gateway, as we mentioned. Gateway just took down Hollidaysburg, who had a bye in the first 2 rounds. They get a bye in 2 rounds and come in and go flat on this one. Gateway, 13-1, 7-1. Their only loss coming to Penn Trafford. It was back in late September. We got to go back a few months for that. And they were shut out in that game, 28-0. That game, Gateway versus Man Central, takes place at the Altoona Area High School, December 1st at 7 p.m.
I mean, this could be Archbishop Wood's easiest trip to the 5A final. You figure they played Ryan, Simon Gratz, and then a Wyoming Valley West team. So Wood is definitely healthy, ready to go for this state championship. But I like this Gateway team. They beat a good team in Penn Trafford 2 weeks ago. And then Hollidaysburg, you never knew what was going to happen there. But this Gateway team, if they get in there and play against Wood, if they beat Manheim Central, excuse me. But I like this Gateway team, but Wood, Am I right? With recent years, is this an easy trip for Wood? I mean, is this
absolutely
how
an
it
easy
is
trip
every
for
year?
Wood.
Or?
Yeah.
Well, it's similar. I mean, I think they played Harrisburg in the championship last year and ended up winning that game. It wasn't that close, but Harrisburg coming back this year, they brought back a lot of really talented players. I think everyone felt that they were going to get to the championship again and really give Archbishop Wood a game. In fact, Harrisburg dominated Imhotep to start the year, so for their season to be cut short was really shocking. With them out of it, I think Archbishop Wood has this. But again, that's why they play the games. You never know what's going to happen on any given night.
Let me ask you guys. I want to go back. I was about to move on to 6A, but I mean, we look at Archbishop Wood. I'm looking at my bracket here. I'm sorry for those of you at home, but I'm looking at my bracket here. Archbishop Wood's going to take on Unionville. Would it have been a more competitive game versus Springfield?
No. I mean, I don't think
it doesn't matter. I know Wood was still going to be the favorite, but would it have been more competitive? Would they have had a better chance than Unionville?
Both of those teams are respectable.
They're both really good.
They beat two good opponents in Upper Dublin and Marble Newtown to advance to play each other. So, I mean, just Archbishop Wood is just a powerhouse, and I'm just so shocked that they get this easy trail into this final. But, hey, we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, and it's not so much a knock on Unionville and Springfield Delco because they are really good teams.
No.
But like Mike said, he used the word powerhouse. Archbishop Wood is a powerhouse in this classification. And like I said, I think Harrisburg was the only team in this class that could compete with them.
Look, we're not here to upset or argue or, we're not here to put down any teams.
No.
We're just stating the facts. You look at this, there are always winners and there are always losers. That's how this sport works. We're not putting down any school in particular, but there are certainly schools that are doing better than others, and we can't argue that. I'm not going to apologize to these schools that get upset. I see you on the Twitter feed. No, I'm only kidding. But let's get into our final bracket of the night. We're going to talk about 6A, the big boys here. Let's go to 6A to our bracket. We're going to talk about this Coatesville game you see up there. We're going to talk a little more in depth. Coatesville beats Garnet Valley by a touchdown, 35-28. They are going to go on to face the real big boys, St. Joseph's Prep. St. Joe's comes off an impressive victory over Parkland, 49-14. I feel like those are just, like St. Joe's and Parkland are teams that we talked about every single week this year. We move over to the west. Manheim Township takes down Cumberland Valley by a field goal, 24-21. They are going to go on to Altoona Area High School December the 2nd at 1. They're going to play Pine Richland. Pine Richland coming off a nice victory over those Little Lions, 49-21.
Now we take a look at the Coatesville Garnet Valley highlights here, and Garnet Valley. This was a contrast of styles. Garnet Valley with the triple option, they'll just run you to death. Here's one down the sideline. Coatesville, more of a pro style offense with Ricky Ortega, the standout sophomore quarterback, the coach's son. And you're going to see on these highlights, Garnet Valley they can just run the ball. And then Coatesville actually ran the ball a little bit here, but they are just such a dynamic offense. And I give Garnet Valley all the credit. This is the second year that they've gotten to the District 1 championship game and lost when everybody counted them out. There's another really good run right there, and that was by the quarterback, and that's why the option kills you. You have no idea who's getting the football out of the backfield. But you're going to see Ricky Ortega go to work right here. This kid is a standout sophomore. Look at him step up in the pocket, throw off his back foot, and then find his receiver. Great catch down there. And then you've got the Young brothers, too, on Coatesville. Aaron Young and Avery Young. Then their older brother, Jordan Young, was the quarterback a few years ago. But this was a great game. Our reporter, Josh Abrams, was on the case. He was doing double duty, doing video, and wrote the game story as well. And I think he's quoted it on Twitter. That was one of the best football games that he had ever seen in person.
Look at this crowd here. I'm amazed by the crowd. It is absolutely packed to the brim at the stadium.
At Garnet Valley as well.
At Garnet Valley, yep.
They had a chance to pull off one in the final drive, but Avery Young stepped up big.
That was a big pick right there by Young. He takes it to the end zone there, and that was really the backbreaker. Garnet Valley was in it, but when they're behind, which isn't often, they are forced to throw the football, and that's where they go away from that triple option, and that's where they get in trouble. But Coatesville, I think, was the better team. But a great season again for Garnet Valley, who, by the way, I think we talked about it. There's the interception to end it in the end zone there in your final score. But Garnet Valley came back from 30, I believe it was 35-7, and down to North Penn, and they came back to win 36-35. I mean, that was a huge upset win, and you can see Coatesville rushing the field as they they win the District 1 championship. And they are a team, we talk about St. Joe's Prep. We know how good the Philadelphia Catholic League is. This is going to be a great game between two extremely good quarterbacks with Marquez McCray from St. Joe's Prep and Ricky Ortega from Coatesville. Two high-powered offenses. I would not be surprised to see this game get in the 40s or 50s.
A stunning loss for Garnet Valley. You've seen that they're home, and a 72-yard pick six when you're trying to get the game-winning touchdown. I mean, Avery Young balled out for Coatesville. Coatesville is a very athletic team. It might disrupt the prep offense there, but I mean, Avery Young balled out. Under a minute to go. Pick six to seal the game, and then another interception in the next drive after Garnet Valley did a little hook and lateral action to try to come back. But he had another interception. He threw a touchdown on the opening drive. I mean, that is just phenomenal. This kid does it all, and he also had a rushing touchdown. Avery Young balled out for the Coatesville team and shocked Garnet Valley at home. And we'll go into the stats here. Garnet Valley led 28-21 earlier in the fourth quarter. So Richie, would you call that a fourth quarter collapse there?
Absolutely. It has to be at that point.
You blow a lead, and then you're going in to score in your own red zone, and you throw a pick.
You can't do that in this class either. You can't do that in this class, in this situation. You're getting down to the Final Four at this point. You just can't have these moments where you go into the fourth quarter and you blow a lead like that, like you said. You can't have those kind of collapses. You can't make those mental errors in this case.
No, you cannot. And they blew it. Fourth quarter collapse at home for Garnet Valley. Usually you want to control it and lock down at home, but they did not. But they did what they wanted to do on offense. 64 carries, 380 yards rushing. I mean, they came out and said, you know what? Yeah, we're a triple option team. We're going to run it down your throat. And their quarterback led the way, Danny Guy, 30 carries, 219 yards.
But, Mike, isn't the home field advantage supposed to be what combats that? Isn't that what's supposed to keep you in the game? You have that home field advantage. You're at your field. You're at your turf. You've got, hopefully, mostly your fans there, even though not a far ride, I guess. But still, that's where that 7-point differential shouldn't come in. We always say, you give 3 points to the home team. You get 3 points on the spread there.
But we say, Richie, big-time players make big-time plays, and that's exactly what Avery Young did. He's a Rutgers recruit, Division I, and that's a Division I play. Taking it in your own hands, making a pick six. You see players like Tyron Matthew making plays. He had an interception last night. Blake Bortles was rolling out, trying to make a play. Tyron Matthew comes up and gets a clinching interception. That's exactly what Avery Young did in pressure situations. And you see it. Again, Ortega, his dad's the coach. He did everything in his power to do as well. No interceptions, went 15 for 26 and 2 touchdowns. What more can you ask of a quarterback to lead your team to a victory? But big-time players make big-time plays, and that's exactly what Avery Young did. Threw a touchdown pass to open the game, had an interception to end it.
Yeah, you look at this matchup, and Garnet Valley had the lead. But Coatesville is such a great team. They came back to tie it, and then, like you said, Mike, that big interception return for a touchdown is what did it. And, Richie, you talk about the home field. Garnet Valley's in Glen Mills. That is not too far from Coatesville. So probably you saw that crowd on the Garnet Valley side. I don't know if we saw the crowd on the Coatesville side, but I'm sure there was a good amount of Coatesville fans there. And Coatesville is used to winning.
I blame our cameraman for that.
There you go, Josh Abrams. That's on you. You look at this Coatesville team, though. Their biggest win in the regular season was against Downingtown West. They came from behind at Kottmeyer Stadium at Downingtown West. So this is a team that's used to winning on the road in big games, and I think that's what you saw here. Everybody knew that this was going to be a monster matchup. We got a great game. And again, kudos to Garnet Valley. They have really come up over the last couple of years. I hope they can get over the hump next year and win District 1. They're doing great things. But Coatesville, I think they were just a better team in the end.
Garnet Valley, you said it. They really are an up-and-coming team. 12-2, 8-1 this season. Their only loss coming to Springfield back in October for them. Coatesville has the big game coming up versus St. Joe's Prep. 13-1, 6-0 for them. Their only loss comes back to Cumberland Valley in September. Got to go back, and that was even a 1-touchdown differential there. They have the big boys, St. Joe's Prep now. St. Joe's Prep coming off a 49-14 win over Parkland. We mentioned it before. St. Joe's has been every sense of a powerhouse, outscoring 138-24. The highest scoring team against them, Parkland. That game, December the 1st at 7 p.m. We'll go to Downingtown West High School for that game. We still have to put a bow on this, but stay tuned with us. We've got a couple more things, a couple more news and notes to get to you about the show, about the upcoming schedule. So stay tuned right here to the Sports Fan Base Network. You are watching In the Trenches. Welcome back to In the Trenches. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us. This is our final segment of the evening, but we're not done talking about 6A yet. There is so much action. We just needed to get a quick commercial in, so thank you so much for staying tuned with us. Ari, I want to kick it over to you. I know you want to talk about the western side of this bracket here. You've got Manheim Township. We said it before. They beat Cumberland Valley by a field goal. They're going to now take on Pine Richland. Pine Richland has been a great team. They take down State College, the Little Lions, in this one.
Yeah, I just want to talk about Pine Richland. Their quarterback's going to Notre Dame. Pine Richland is my pick to win this bracket. And I have them beating St. Joe's Prep in the championship, but that is not a given. Coatesville can beat St. Joe's Prep. They have the offensive firepower to keep up with Marquez McRae and the rest of the St. Joe's Prep Hawks. But remember, Prep has a great defense. This is the best defense that Coatesville has faced all year. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is in the middle of that St. Joe's Prep.
The Axe Jr.
Axe Jr., that's right.
Jr.
I still think Pine Richland is the winner of this bracket. I really like the way they've been playing, so I just wanted to mention that. I think they beat Manheim Township, and they're going to await the winner of that Coatesville-St. Joe's Prep game. So it should really be interesting in the 6A bracket.
Yeah, I think the 6A bracket is just something such to watch out for and something to be so excited about. And, you know, guys, we have a couple of weeks coming up to discuss. We've got the championship rounds, championship matches coming up in just a couple short weeks, and just such exciting stuff happening. You know, I think we're going to need this entire week just to prep for next week's show at this point. There is so much happening. We thank you, the viewers at home. We thank you so much for staying with us throughout this season. You know, last week was Thanksgiving, and we all had some great times with our family and friends, but we are just so thankful to you. You have stuck with us this season, and it's because of you that we're able to do a great show every week for you. And just thank you so much for all the comments. Thank you so much for all the likes and the shares. We are going to be back next week. We've got a couple more shows left. We will be back next week. We're going to go over all these games that we previewed tonight. We're going to go over so much of the wonderful action. I am sure we're going to have some great highlight packages for you. So make sure to stay tuned in the coming weeks. Also, things to watch out for coming up on the Sports Fan Base Network. You can catch great shows like one of my favorites, Varsity Voice, with my co-host for the evening, Ari Bluestein. He has Varsity Voice, and I want to talk about it, a little bit of a news and note with Varsity Voice coming up. Also, though, make sure you check out some great replays. Go over to our YouTube channel and check out the replays of In the Goal with Steven Schreiber. He did a marvelous job this season. He's got some great co-hosts, including Cap, who break down the soccer games and break down the soccer season.
How did that soccer season end this year, Ari?
Well, a lot of champions crowned. I don't really feel like going through
the other kind of football.
That's why you check out In the Goal.
Well,
find out.
Conestoga was the best team in the state on the boys' side.
But we got to give a quick shout out to the girls and boys of Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. Championships on both sides.
We did mention that on the final episode, by the way.
It's my team. It's my team. That's my school.
Yeah.
Go Blue Devils. But make sure that you catch some great episodes on the YouTube channel of In the Goal and also Varsity Voice. But thank you so much, Jack Cap, Ryan Haney, Steven Schreiber, always doing a great job. Guys, we have a new season upon us. A couple of weeks, we're going to be starting with these new seasons here. One of them, we have a new host and a new format for Varsity Voice. How did that feel, Ari?
It feels good. It feels good. I'm happy to pass the reins down. You know, I'll still be helping out with the show, and I'll still be filling in on shows like this. And,
I'm sure.
And some of the other shows as well. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So stay tuned. It'll be somewhat of a new format as well.
On Mondays coming up in the next season, you're actually stuck with me again. I'm going to be hosting a show show about boys basketball in Pennsylvania. That'll be on Monday nights, taking place of In the Trenches. We have a wrestling show on New Jersey wrestling. That's going to be on Tuesday. High school wrestling through New Jersey. Not the kind of wrestling that I like. Sorry.
That is
I'm a
correct.
pro wrestling guy. Different kind of wrestling. And then we have a girls basketball show, PA Girls Basketball. That will be on Thursday. So much exciting action coming soon on the Sports Fan Base Network. But in the meantime, In the Trenches is still here. We are still your Monday night go-to. Please make sure that you like, share, love this page, this show. Please blast it out. We've only got a few episodes left, and the games are getting better. The intensity is just amplifying tremendously. So make sure that you get to those. We will be back every Monday right here on Facebook Live. You can join us Facebook Live. You can join us through the iTunes Store. You can join us on YouTube. But hey, if you're checking us out through the iTunes Store, if you're listening to us, taking us on the road with you, make sure that when you go in, give us that 5-star rating. We need that 5-star rating from you. Please make sure that you do that as you're downloading this show. In the meantime, please be sure to check out www.thesfbn.com, Sports Fan Base Network. Make sure you check it out. We've got some great articles about a lot of the games that we discussed, about some great sports going across the entire state of Pennsylvania. I have to thank Steven Schreiber. I have to thank Julian Bellman. They have done a great job producing tonight and so much throughout this season. So thank you so much to those gentlemen. They always do a fine job keeping us in line, keeping us in tune. But in the meantime, for Ari Bluestein, for Mike Palmer, for Corey Sharp, who we miss you tremendously,
He'll be
Corey.
back. He'll be back.
He is going to be back. He will be back. For all of us here at the Sports Fan Base Network, my name is Richie Blyweiss, and I'm reminding you, stay classy and be good to each other.